Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Conversations with the McQueens. We're the McQueens. So, my husband picked out the topic for today. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to fill in where I can, but today is about
Men stalkers.
because he used the B one. Let's get it.
All right. So, what made me pick this topic is, lately I've been on this Tubi thing. I never used to watch Tubi because, as everybody know, usually the acting is terrible. The production is terrible with most of the Tubi shows and movies and stuff, to the point where it's laughable. But I've been watching it lately, and it's progressively getting better. The production and the acting. So every now and again, you're able to catch a movie that shows pretty decent and the acting is pretty decent. So, but anyway, this one particular movie I was watching, and it was about this guy who was stalking this young lady. And I'm gonna try not make it too long, so just gonna try to hit the key points. but yeah, in this particular movie, it was the guy's ex. They weren't together. They were not together anymore. Actually, they hadn't been together in 2 years. They had been broken up for 2 years, and this dude was stalking her. Now, mind you, although they were broken up for 2 years, this guy was in a full-blown relationship with someone else. Now, he did have 2 kids from his ex. So they had 2 kids together from the ex. But once again, they were no longer together. So, of course, he would try to use the kids, like he's coming to see the kids, as an excuse, but didn't take care of the kids, didn't do anything for the kids. He really was just trying to, monitor her and make sure she wasn't seeing anybody and all that kind of crazy stuff. And during this time of stalking the young lady, of course, she was in school for nursing, and she, taking care of 2 kids as a single mom, and just living her life. Like I said, mind you, he's in a relationship, the ex, with his girlfriend, and she had 2 kids of her own, but they wasn't his kids. So, of course, him being in the household, he was doing a lot more for the kids that wasn't even his, and wasn't doing anything at all for his own biological kids. So his ex, she was trying to move on with her life. She had met a guy, a really nice guy, and the guy was a well-to-do guy, doing really good for himself. And, they hit it off. Things were going perfect. But, of course, the ex, once he found that out, he really turned up the stalking, to the point where when the new guy would come see the ex, he started messing with his car, flattening his tires, and just doing all kinds of stuff. To the point where he even went to the guy's job, threatened the guy, cost the guy some business. The guy owned his own business or whatever. So, of course, the guy was like, I can't deal with this. So he stopped dealing with the young lady. And, he moved on with his life. And she had fell in love with this guy, the new guy. And she was just so hurt, that the guy had, he had met someone else and he had moved on with his life. So she was hurt about that. Like, once again, her being a single mom, she was struggling, so she, was struggling paying her bills. She came home one day, the lights were turned off, so she lost her good guy, lights was turned off. I mean, just all this stuff, not to mention, of course, the ex, he was stalking her at work as well, so he caused her to lose her job. So she's lost all this stuff. And, she just felt like, man, this is just too much. It was just too much for her. So, make a long story short, of course, it's a lot more to the movie, but
6 minutes into his explanation,
she just gave up. She gave up on life, and what she did was she went to the stove, turned the gas on to the stove, went down, laid in the bed with her 2 kids, and of course the 3 of them died, her and the 2 kids. Very devastating. And all that from the result of this guy stalking her, and just would not leave her alone. Now, of course, he was crying and crying and crying. The ex thought he was crying because he lost his kids. He was crying because of her, that now he doesn't have her to stalk anymore. He didn't mention his kids at all. He was just thinking about her, dreaming about her. He was just obsessed with this young lady. But yeah, he stalked her to the point where, she killed herself and his kids and her kids. So I just wanted to, share that movie with you guys, because it just really made me, just think, man, about all the, and I'm, you have women stalkers as well, but I just want to talk about these guys because I'm a man, so I want to just talk about a man actually stalking a woman, men stalkers.
So let me ask you a question, because that was extremely long.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What made you, out of all these crazy movies you watch that I got to hear about every day at dinner during the week, what made you want to do a show about something that you haven't even experienced yourself?
Well, that's not true. That I haven't
So
experienced.
you have stalked somebody.
In all seriousness, I have experienced that with me seeing this young lady. We had just met, and I go over to her place. She invited me to her place. I go over to her place. She had fixed dinner. We're eating dinner, and then after dinner, we're sitting down watching TV. Next thing I know, some guy banging on the door. So she's telling me to be quiet, don't say anything. I'm like, what? So, I'm looking crazy. So he's banging on the door, cussing and fussing. She didn't open the door. She's scared. So she tells me, the guy, they were seeing each other, but she didn't want to see him anymore. And what happened, she was the side chick. He was married with kids, and she was the side chick. And here he's stalking her, upset, don't want her to see anybody but him. So the banging stopped for about 5 minutes. Next thing I know, you hear some glass breaking downstairs. She lived in an apartment, and she lived on the 3rd floor. So she go out in the balcony. He's down there, he's bursting out her car windows. So, my car, I was driving a truck at the time, a Bronco, and it was parked behind her vehicle. So he busting out her car windows. I'm thinking my windows are next. So I rushed downstairs. By the time I get down there, he had left. So he burst out all of this young lady. He burst them all out. He didn't touch my truck. So of course, he left. I didn't want to deal with that. So I left. which, you know, of course, that was his agenda, you know, to make sure she doesn't move on with her life and deal with nobody else. So he left and I guess went on to his wife and his kids. Now, me and her would talk on the phone every now and again, but, you know, we never really got a chance to, like, really deal with each other because, you know, I didn't want to get mixed up in that. So fast forward, about 6 months later, she called me and she tells me she wanted to see me. She had something to tell me or whatever. So I meet her. I didn't go to her house. We met out somewhere. And she was telling me, man, this guy came over there, broad daylight. She was standing outside talking to a couple of her female friends. He just walked up and he shot her twice. One in the face, one in the chest. And what might have saved her life when he shot her in the chest, he shot her in the breast, in her breast tissue, actually saved her life. You know, and, you know, he ended up going to jail. But that's just so crazy that you willing to risk your freedom, you know, leave your wife, your kids. You're not thinking about any of that. You ain't thinking about your wife, you ain't thinking about your kids for a side piece, you know. And, you know, she telling me this, man, you know, I'm just amazed. I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. Yeah, he did that to that woman, man. Shot this woman because she didn't want to deal with him. All because she did not want to deal with this man, you know. So, but yeah, so I experienced that firsthand, you know, in real life with some dude, you know, being a stalker. And I can't relate. I can't understand, you know, what would make a man stalk any woman. I don't care who she is. I don't care if she ex-girlfriend. I don't care if they were married for years, ex-wife. I can't wrap my mind and my head around a man stalking a woman because she don't want to deal with him. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But and I just wanted to touch on this topic, baby, because I'm sure it's some guy is going to watch this. Some guy. And this one of you guys out there that's going to end up watching this, you know who you are. You probably out there stalking some woman right now, you know, hindering her and from moving on with her life because she don't want to deal with you, you know, and you can't handle the rejection, and you willing to put everything on the line. You willing to go to jail, you know, or in some cases even, like I said, take somebody's life because a woman don't want to be with you. You know, in my opinion, guys, it's just a sucker move. It's not relatable to me, and it's just you just got to be a pure D sucker. You know, like, yeah, a straight up sucker. You know, I just keep trying to picture a man, you know, flattening a woman's tires, busting out her windows, you know, putting stuff in a tank. You know, a grown man.
Well, you know, I've had somebody put sugar in my tank. I told
Yeah, you told
brand
me.
new car. It was a van, so
I can't relate. I cannot relate. I can't picture myself. I can't. I just can't relate to that. Seeing just thinking about it, a man stalking a woman and doing all that kinds of little petty little stuff. You know, like I said, messing with her car and all that kind of stuff, and you know, crank call and you know, because even in the movie, the guy he would crank call her. You know, if he would pass by the house, see the car parked there, another guy's car parked there, so he would start calling her and crank calling her, you know, and calling her all types of names, calling her out her name, and just, oh man, I just, I was just in disgust the whole time I was watching the movie. I'm just shaking my head and I'm laughing to myself, even though it wasn't funny, but I just couldn't understand a man behaving that way, but it's real. It's real.
It's real. So, I had two stalking stories, but I'm only going to tell one
Mm-hmm.
because the other one it's depressing. So, but I was telling my husband a long time ago, when I lived in Missouri, I was dating this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And really liked the guy a lot. Hadn't introduced him to my kids though, but we spent a lot of time together. So I had decided I was going to introduce him to my kids. It had been 4 or 5 months. And so I was over his house and I told him, I said, well, I'm going to invite you over for dinner on Sunday. I want you to meet my girls. I mean, I liked them that much. And I said, but first I got to look you up because I hadn't looked him up yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look up everybody. I don't know why I hadn't looked him up yet, but before he came to my house to meet my girls, I was definitely going to look him up. So he seemed a little bothered. Then he told me when I looked him up, I was going to find him. He told me his story. I said, well, nice knowing you.
Mm-hmm.
There's just certain things I can't deal with. And he figured it was going to come whenever I found out his story. So that was it. Well, one day I get a phone call from him and he was telling me how cute my daughter looked going to school. Now, this is in Missouri, and I lived in a place called Grandview, and he lived in Kansas City. So, we didn't live in the same neighborhood. Some of you, if you're in Missouri, you know the difference. But for people who live in South Florida, it's like living in Miami Gardens, and you telling somebody who lives in Plantation something about their child. So he was telling me one day how cute my daughter looked going to school. I was like, what? And he described what she had on. I hang up. I don't remember what I said. Then another time he was telling me I should close my curtains in my house because he could see me jumping on. I've always had a trampoline, a big one for the kids and a small one for me to exercise. He could see me jumping on my trampoline. I was. So he did a couple more things, and at first I was a little scared. And I told my husband, at first I was a little scared, and then I had to remember who I was. And I do not recommend this to anybody. Call the police. But I didn't. Me and Billy went to his house, and Billy is my bat, right? So me and Billy used to go everywhere together. I didn't have a pew, but I had a Billy. And so he pulls up to his house, and I'm sitting on his porch waiting. He sees me, he backs out of the driveway, and he drives off. So I call him, where you going? He tells me to leave or he's gonna call the police. I laugh. So eventually I leave. I called my best friend at the time. She's like, girl, get out of there, leave, what are you doing? And I was like, okay. So now I get it. The next day, I think, or 2 days later, he had 2 vehicles. He comes home again, I'm sitting on his vehicle waiting on him. Same thing. He calls, leave his property, this or that. But I just wanted to show him, number one, I wasn't scared of him. At first, I'm not going to lie. At first, I was thinking, man, this guy's crazy. I don't want to deal with him because he had done something to a minor. And I just wasn't going for that in my life. And still to this day would not go for that in my life. But he had done something to a minor. So, of course, I don't want to deal with him. And he knew it was going to come. So now you're going to stalk me because you did something wrong in your past. And I have a choice to make. And I made the choice to not be around somebody who would touch a minor, especially being a mother of girls. And you think you're going to start scaring me because I don't want to be with you. So I turned the tables on him, the end of the story. I just turned the tables on him. Never burst out his windows, never put sugar in his tank, none of that. But I just gave him what he was giving me. But I turned it up a notch. I didn't call as I drove by. I sat there and waited on him. And yeah, those are good days. Those are good days.
She crazy.
I am. So anyway, a note to the side chicks. Don't be a side chick. Don't be a side chick. because your job as a side chick is to put on and act crazy and do. I mean, I don't mean crazy, but I mean do all that stuff maybe his wife ain't doing, and to get the extras, right? And so when you try to cut it off, it might not be that easy. So if you're not the side chick, maybe you won't have to go through side chick problems.
She tripping. So bad. The side. You ain't gotta be the side chick, cause
she was the side chick, so I'm just going by your story.
But that's my personal story. But like I was, telling you about the movie, she wasn't the side chick. She,
okay.
She
neither was I.
His child's mom, So, of course, guys, the moral of the story, man, is these guys, you just have no business stalking a woman. And of course, now in the movie, of course, he didn't work.
Well,
he didn't work.
Not.
Yeah, so he had all the time in the world to stalk this woman. That's why he was able to do all this stuff. He did not work. And the woman that he was living with, of course, she worked. Now, this is the other crazy part. The woman that he was living with, she the only one working. She would come home. He's sitting home, chilling out, not working. So she would come through the door cursing him out. You need to go find an effing job, this and that. You sorry, Emma. She would curse him out, talk to him all kinds of crazy. Shoving him in his head. He didn't do nothing to her. Yeah, now he didn't do nothing to her.
Because he didn't have anywhere else to go.
Exactly. He didn't do nothing to her at all. He let her talk to him crazy, put her hands on him. He wouldn't touch her. But he sure would give his ex a hard time. And I say, man, the level of sucker you gotta be, and it's some guys out there, and y'all know who y'all are. Y'all living this exact life that I'm talking about right now. You're living with a woman. You're not working, or if you are working, you're probably working some little petty job, but you're living in her place, that's hers. And you're putting up with all that foolishness or whatever, and you're stalking somebody else. I'm talking about exactly how the movie went. I'm sure some guys out there living exactly like that. Got a whole woman at home, but find all the time in the world to go stalk somebody else because you don't want this woman to move on with her life. Just the level of selfishness and suckerism. Man, you got to be some type of sucker, some type of squad.
Stalking is real, you guys.
It is. It is.
Male, female, it doesn't matter. If somebody's stalking you, call the police. Seriously, do what you have to do to protect yourself at all times. We both know somebody who was stalked by a female, and she was pretty relentless, doing crazy stuff, just crazy stuff. Yeah. And it's scary. It's scary. So if you are being stalked, do whatever you have to do to protect yourself, but don't. It's easy for me to say now. I want to say don't let somebody take away your joy and your sense of peace. You do whatever you have to do to hold on to your peace and your security, and protect yourself, your household at all costs, at all times. Yeah. Because I don't know what's going on in our world, but stalking it's a major issue.
It is.
Straight across the board. And you females are just as bad, though. Yeah. You are just as bad. And people, I even know one person, I told you the story about the teacher in Missouri. She kind of sensationalized the fact that her boyfriend, on and off again boyfriend, wouldn't leave her alone. She just thought, her exact words was, "I'm a bad bitch." So, and in the end, she was not okay. So, instead of thinking that it's an honor for somebody to want you that bad, it's not about wanting you. It's about control.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, like my wife saying, now I think it's probably more prevalent with women to stalk men because women are so emotional, extremely emotional, and get in their emotions and get a little unbalanced, and then tend to stalk men. And like my wife saying, it's some women out there, and just like she said, now, we know somebody, a family member that was being stalked by a woman. And man, this woman was, what I tell you, crazy, like super duper crazy. Took my male family member through a whole lot, you know. I mean, oh my God, but this was their MO, because we ended up meeting somebody else that she was dealing with, that she was stalking as well, and they was telling us about it. So, and listen now, I'm talking about she was stalking them the same time she was stalking our family member. So she was,
She had time too.
She had time, So yeah, just crazy, stalking two people at the same time. So she would leave one person's house and go to the other person's house to do this stalking, So you just got to be completely out of your mind to do completely out of your mind to do that. But yeah, so it's real. It's real, and I'm sure somebody who's going to watch this, they have experienced it, and if you haven't experienced it personally, you know somebody that I'm very sure of that, but definitely don't take it lightly. Take it very serious. But once again, I just got to double down on the man. When I tell you, I just can't understand. I can't. I can't. I'm sorry, guys. And you know who you are. And listen.
And you know who you are.
Yeah, the stalkers out there, the men stalkers, you probably not going to even watch this fool. You're probably going to turn it off because you're going to get upset because I'm talking about you. But I just I can't wrap my head around it. I can't understand it.
Women and men, do your due diligence. Get to know people. Look into their backgrounds. Get to know them. Listen to their family members. Listen to their friends. Who are they hanging around? How are they speaking? Are you their only friend? Are you the only one and they only come to your house? And this and that. Pay attention to, there's always signs. Even the first person, that the story I didn't tell, from the very, very beginning, super possessive, but I was so young. Super possessive, this and that, and it bothered me, but then again, it didn't. But there were signs that it was going to turn out years later to be a complete disaster, and it was. So I'm extremely, let me tell you this one last quick story. When I first moved to Florida, I didn't know anybody. So I joined Black People Meet, and I made it clear in my bio, I just wanted to hang out. Not looking for a relationship. I know this is a relationship site. I just want to hang out. And I meant it. That means you can't come to my house. I'm not going to your house. I'll meet you wherever. I'll meet you at the pool hall. I'll meet you at the bowling alley. I'll meet you at the restaurant. I'll meet you at the concert. And as soon as it's over, I'm leaving. I am the type, I want to make sure nobody's following me all the time, and that's just my MO because I don't really know these people. And here I am meeting them. Now, I met my husband that way. He stalked me. I gave in. But before him, I've always been that very cautious person. I just don't want people in my life like that, knowing where I live, having access to my house, especially being a single mom at the time. So really, really pay attention. Don't be moving a man or a woman in your house after knowing them 2 weeks and you got 3 kids in the house and then you're surprised when they turn out to be a little off, whatever it is. Just, do what you're supposed to do and get to know that person. And sometimes, you know, out of desperation, you'll let your guard down, but desperation sometimes leads to big headaches.
Man.
Right?
Yeah, guys. So, you know, but that's about it, guys. We just wanted to touch bases on that particular
But
topic.
he wanted to. I had no idea. We don't think about what we're going to say. I just told him right before the video, we're going to talk about that topic you wanted to talk about. And he's like, today? I said, yeah. And that was it.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is just...
Yeah. So like I said, that topic stems from me, watching that movie, man, and just how, you thinking of yourself and being selfish because it's something that you want and not realizing and understanding how you are affecting somebody else's life because you want what you want. You know what I'm saying? And you're not considering how you're affecting the other person's life. And that young lady, like I said in the movie, she took her life, her and her kids, because, and I'm sure she probably took the kid's life because she's like, well, if I kill myself, the kid's going to end up with him. I don't want my kids with him. Not to mention the girlfriend who the stalker guy was with, she didn't like his kids. She didn't allow his kids to come over to the house. She dreaded if he had even had to go over there and see the kids. So I'm sure she thought about all of that. Like, that'll just be pure hell or pure torture for my kids to be in that environment. So she not only killed herself, she killed herself and the two kids. So like I say, that can be the repercussions of, you stalking someone. So at the end of the day, it's not worth it. And just think about, like I say, the effects and what you're doing to somebody else's life by you doing that, because you're being selfish and you're thinking about what you want, So, but we're gonna close with this, guys. If you're out there stalking somebody, you are a sucker. You a straight up sucker.
I keep wanting to say jive turkey, but jive sucker.
You all of the above. Listen, I want to say a few other choice words, but I'm going to keep it PG on here.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just washed my hair so I can feel it shrinking as we talk. I got to go do it.
Well, I tell you, but please, guys, cut the stalking out. You stalkers out there that's watching this, cut it out. Stop making people's lives miserable and going on with your own miserable life. But cut it out. But it's a serious thing.
It is. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for joining us today. And what's next?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll come up with a topic and we'll discuss it and we'll talk about it next week.
Here. We'll talk about it here.
Yes, we will.
All right. See y'all next week.
All right, guys. Take care.
Peace.